Marketing yourself for. You're going to find that you're marketing yourself not only when you're trying to handle the situation with college recruiting, but in a variety of other situations as well. You're going to probably encounter situations where you're going through experienced hire recruiting. 2 to 4 years after you get out of college, you may well decide to seek, or someone may be seeking you to take another job. You will find that in your existing businesses, or if you're going out on your own, you may be in a position where you have to sell ideas to other people. And part of selling those ideas is in fact marketing yourself as part of that idea. And then the last one is professional marketing, where you're doing marketing roles, whether or not it's called marketing or called sales. Most organizations will have situations where you're marketing things to other people. So let's talk about how we're going to use the techniques we've just talked about and enhance them in these other situations. First, in experienced hire recruiting. You basically follow the same rules as college recruiting. Do your research, put together your resume, understand the situation, and you create your expanded resume specifically for the job that you're talking about in experienced hire recruiting. Now, instead of using the college's placement office, you'll use websites, LinkedIn. A variety of websites are out there. They fall into 2 categories. One is one where you have direct contacts through the website to people that are actually looking for positions. Those are the better ones. And then there's like LinkedIn, where recruiters actually go looking for people that may not be looking for a job. It is always easier to get a job if you have a job. That's a very important fact to remember. It makes you seem more reliable and a better catch, so to speak, if you have a job and you're not out looking for a job. LinkedIn is one of the main ways in which this happens. There are a number of other websites out there that actually connect organizations to help them find people who have jobs right now. The other main thing you use in experienced hire recruiting is your friends and family, the contacts you have, your business contacts, your friends, your family, the people who know people in organizations who might be able to help you line up that position and meet the right people. Getting in the door is an issue. When we talked about websites, one of the things that I didn't mention is the huge number of websites that basically are just resume mills. You submit your resume, they can go through and scan them. Your likelihood of achieving a job that way is actually pretty low. Your likelihood of shipping a resume into a company and getting an interview is very low. Your likelihood of getting that same interview, if someone who is in that company or knows someone in that company recommends you, goes way, way up. So the friends and family is very important to getting in. When you're going through experienced hire recruiting, focus on what you have achieved in previous work. It's all about what you have done. We are not particularly interested in college activities anymore. They diminish in time. Just like at this point in time, it's probably been years since anyone cared what you did in high school. Once you've had that first job under your belt, nobody's going to care what you did in college. So whatever issues you may have had in your GPA or what you actually took in college and all of that, it pretty much goes by the wayside. It's of minor importance what you did in college. What's of major importance is what you did on that job. So understand that, focus on that. And one final thing, no unaccounted for time lapses. Your resume needs to cover all the time from when you got out of college to today without any lapses in there. People don't know exactly how to take those lapses, and if you have lapses, you need to explain them right there on the piece of paper, because an awful lot of people will just trash can your resume. It'll be set aside because they don't want to have to deal with issues. They don't know if you just kind of decided you're going to take 6 months off and wander around, in which case you just have maturity issues, or if you wound up in jail someplace. So they just don't typically even want to have to get into that, so a lot of times those just get immediately set aside. So you need to go ahead and deal with that, cover all the time on your resume. So experienced hire recruiting is pretty much the same thing. Getting into it, getting your foot in the door is a little bit different. On the other hand, it's less of a numbers game to a significant degree, and if you can put together an outstanding resume and get somebody to carry it in there for you, it's extremely doable and somewhat more highly successful than the college recruiting in many aspects. Second is selling ideas. You like to think of ideas as standalone. An idea just goes out there and sells itself, but that doesn't happen in the business world. When you're selling an idea, first be prepared. You want to know all of the facts. You need to understand what's going for you and what's going against you. You need to understand the facts of the situation and have them at your fingertips, ready to quote. And the next thing is the objection practice. Think about and work with somebody else to help you think about what their objections to your idea may be. And get all that on the table, work it through so you know how you're going to answer those objections. When you're really good at this, you basically have the objections worked out and have your answers worked out before you ever walk in the door. You're not caught flat-footed. Next, know your audience. There can be lots of different people sitting out there. You want to understand who they are and where they come from. If you're selling an idea to someone who's intimately familiar with the area, you're going to have to be a lot deeper in the facts, and you're going to have to be prepared for objections that may well be a lot deeper. If you're selling to an audience that's not that knowledgeable in the area, a lot of angel investors and even venture capitalists may fall into this kind of situation. You've got to be prepared to take them from a pretty high level and walk them down as far as they need to go to understand what your business is or what your idea is. You also need to know if there's people out there that don't like you for some reason, don't like your idea, have some political or personal reason why they're not going to like this, and they're probably never going to like that. You got to be prepared for that and prepared to handle it. Finally, master the politics. There's an old lawyer saying that says, never ask a question if you don't know the answer. It's kind of that situation as well. To the degree you have access to the people you're going to be selling your ideas to before the meeting, size them up, talk to them, try to get them on board, at least find out what their objections are, and you should have a count in your mind when you walk into the meeting as to how you think this is going to play out. Finally, professional marketing. When you're trying to sell something to another organization, start off, know your case, know the strengths and weaknesses of your case. Know why your product or service is better than your competitors or other things they may be considering, and a lot of times it's better than doing nothing, because that's frequently the real alternative. And understand your weaknesses. What isn't as great about your offering as somebody else's, and how would you overcome that? You practice the objections in order to be prepared to discuss those things and answer questions that they may have about what your weaknesses are and what objections they may bring up. Once again, master the politics. When you're selling to a company, understand that there's two ways things can go. One is what's right, the other is who's right. In most major companies, who's right trumps what's right. So you have to get the politics right. If you've got people in here who prefer another vendor, who like another person better, who for whatever reason has personal preferences, they do not want to see you succeed. You need to understand that. You need to deal with that. Try to marginalize them as much as possible, but you've got to be careful. As we say on the next point, you have to be polite and respectful. You're not there to get into an argument with these people. You're not there to make any more enemies than you have to. You're just trying to sell something, and you're trying to sell it in a way that respects everybody, because in the end, the most important thing is to live to fight another day. You probably will be back here. Even if they turn you down today, there's a real strong possibility, if what you're offering is in fact the best answer, you're probably going to come back and get another shot at this if you haven't burned the bridges behind you. The bottom line, you really need to understand how to market yourself. That is your stock in trade. From now on, you will be marketing yourself every day that you are at work.